Since you hit play on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast today, I want to make sure that you know that our free self-love challenge is happening in February 2024 right here on the podcast. The goal of this challenge is to make creating an intentional practice of self-love even easier than ever simply by plugging in your earbuds and listening for about 10 minutes per day. But for the full experience, you're going to want to get the scorecard so you can enter the giveaways, get the daily journal prompts sent to your inbox, and join us for the live wrap-up podcast recording. Yes, you get to join me in the studio and record the podcast together live. It is all free. Go to wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge to sign up. Again, it is completely free. You'll get a daily reminder with the free 10-minute coaching each day and your journal prompt, and you will see a transformation over these 14 days. It is not only going to impact your relationship with yourself, but as I'll teach during the challenge, it is going to impact every single other relationship you have in your life, your relationship with other people, your relationship with teaching. That energy is going to impact every single other aspect of your life. So sign up at wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge. It's free. Now let's get to the episode. You are listening to episode number 116 of Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast, a taste of Educate and Rejuvenate. I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite tips and clips from past Educate and Rejuvenate events. And for the first time ever, really going to take you behind the scenes of our exact plans for our upcoming Winter 2023 Educate and Rejuvenate. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. I'm Kelsey Sorensen, a former elementary teacher and current homeschool mom. And even though I've been a resource creator since 2014, I've realized that printables alone aren't all you need in order to thrive as a teacher or homeschool parent. That's why I also created this show and got certified as a life coach to help you finally kick burnout to the curb and feel confident with whatever challenges come your way. With the right mindset strategies and new teaching inspiration, you're going to be well on your way to your best teacher life. Now let's go. Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you on the podcast today. And I'm really excited for today's episode. I'm going to be kind of taking you on a little tour behind the scenes. I'm going to be sharing exactly what's going down on our winter event on December 28th. But this isn't just like telling you about the event. You're actually going to get some of my favorite clips from past podcasts and past events. So you're going to just get a variety of inspiration today and also get a feel for what this event is going to be like. So you can decide if you want to attend or not. And also, if you're a member and already get in, just kind of get you excited and wanting to attend live because it's going to be such a fun event. Now, one thing I want to mention quick. I've been catching up on episodes of the podcast and realized that the sound, my computer, some of you might relate. My computer has started to be working really hard lately. And I think especially when I record in this new platform that we use, I think it used a little more bandwidth. And so my computer would be humming in the background and the sound just wasn't as crisp as what I like the podcast to be and what previous episodes were. And it was not the fault of my incredible team and my incredible podcast editor. It's just a new system we were using, but we think we figured out how to make it better. So I'm hoping that today it's going to be sounding a lot better. Just wanted to bring that up because I want to bring you the highest quality podcast for your listening purposes. And so we're on that. Okay, so I'm super excited for our Winter Educate and Rejuvenate event. And what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to be sharing my favorite tips and clips. But the way I chose these is you're going to get a little clip from each of the presenters who is at our Winter 2023 Educate and Rejuvenate event. Now, the clip isn't from the upcoming event. It's from previous events or podcast episodes, but it's so you can get a tip from each of the guests and kind of get a feel from who the people you'll be learning from are and get to know them. So you can be like, oh, yeah, I definitely want to attend this and see if it's for you, or just kind of soak up the inspiration on the podcast. You get to decide. For most of them, it's actually a clip from a previous episode on the podcast. But from those who have not come on the podcast yet, we pulled a clip from a previous Educate and Rejuvenate session. So as we go along, I will mention, like, if you hear a little clip from something, you're like, I love that, I want more on that, I will mention where you could go back on the podcast and listen to the full episode, or where you could go to a past Educate and Rejuvenate session. At this point, the only people who can access past Educate and Rejuvenate sessions would be club members. Or I guess if you bought the Platinum Pass for our most recent summer one, you have a little bit longer. You have through December 31st. But you will want to be sure to check those out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in order, like I said, and kind of giving you a taste of the day. Now, for our Winter 2023 event, just like last year, if you participated in our 2022 one, it is just one day and we're all together. It's not like a bunch of pre-recorded sessions. It's not where there are different tracks for you to choose from. We are all together all day. It's intimate. It's fun. We just have a really good time. So I'm going to go in order of how the day will go during the event. And so you'll get a little taste of the goodness that is about to happen and understand exactly what this is, because it is different from our Summer Educate and Rejuvenate event. All the while, you'll get to decide if you want to join us or not and get some solid tips, advice along the way. And it's really just kind of behind the scenes. I always love to see the behind the scenes of the different podcasts I listen to. And so I'm trying to do a little bit more of that for you, so you can kind of see what's going on in the background at Wife Teacher Mommy, what our plans are, what we're doing at different things. So I'll kind of mention little stuff like that as we go along too. Okay, so let's get to it. So we are going to kick off the day on December 28th for our Winter Educate and Rejuvenate event. We're kicking it off with our wonderful yoga meditation with Lizzie Langston. Now, if you've been around on the podcast for a while, you might have heard my original episode of the first life coach that I worked with, and that is Lizzie. She is incredible. She has taught me so much. I'm working with her again now. She's currently my book coach, helping me with my mindset and hurdles as I go along writing my book, and even like helping me like on certain things where I'm like, should I word this way or that way or whatever? She's really kind of helping me with all of that. And she is going to be at the event. So I'm like sharing my life coach with you guys. Like, can I just tell you, she's amazing. She is going to be doing a yoga meditation with you at this event. So I actually wanted to pull a clip from her last yoga meditation, because if you attended our Summer Educate and Rejuvenate, she did a yoga meditation there and it was incredible. And actually, I'm so excited. I was just talking with her today on Voxer, and she is going to do 3 more yoga meditations with our club members. That was actually a gift she wanted to do for me, to do that for our club members. So if you're in the club, you're going to get 3 more even after the event. Just need to decide how we want to space them out. And if you guys like it, I might continue to invite her to come back and do more than 3. So really excited about that. But anyways, that is going to kick off our day at Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. So it's really probably unlike anything else you've ever seen, because you might think of yoga, you might think of meditation, but what she does is really this like mix between the two. Like, it starts out, and as what you'll see in the clip is kind of more, she doesn't really get into the movement yet, but it's really gentle movement. If you're like, yoga, that's not my thing, I'm not flexible, it's totally fine. It's just like really getting you moving, getting you thinking, getting you connected to your body, and really just a way to get in tune with yourself before we do this event that is really going to help you transform yourself as we go into 2024. So I'm going to share a clip of her yoga meditation from summer. And then she, as you know, she's going to come back and do a new one for Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. So I'm going to turn it over to Lizzie here quick.
Let's get going with this body-mind connection. Again, my name is Lizzie. I'm going to be your guide today, and we're going to start with taking a few deep breaths. I'm going to close my eyes. I can already feel my body just so excited to let go and relax, and I want to invite you to do that with me. Whatever level of vulnerability feels okay for you. So I'm going to be going into, like I said, a closed eye. My hands are going to be up, but you can also actually, maybe I'll do this. My hands are going to be on my heart and on my belly. I feel like a little bit tired today. I've kind of had a headache, so I'm going to be in a more of a nurturing posture. By the way, if sitting on the ground is not feeling good for you, don't do it. Don't do what I'm doing just because I'm doing it. The greatest compliment you can give me as your guide is to do what feels good to your body and to listen to your body. Your body is the authority today, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. We're going to a deep breath. Feel free to follow along or just watch if you're not really ready to go there yet. One thing that I instantly connect to when I go to the breath is my aura or my energy. Okay, if that sounds frou-frou for you, don't worry. It took me a lot of years to even be able to feel and attune to that. Not saying I'm like better than anyone, but it's okay if your ego or any part of your brain rejects that. I can totally get that. So I'm going to still be me though and say these things, and wherever they hit you, that's great. You take or leave whatever feels good today. Enjoy the silence. I invite you to a gentle smile on the edges of your lips. If you feel dizzy at any point, please do open your eyes, put your hands on the ground, ground yourself. Otherwise, continue going here with us. Feel your heart pumping. And I just want you, if your brain feels busy, continue breathing as I talk. If your brain feels busy, feels kind of like it's darting all over the place, it's thinking about the things you have to do, or did you take that out of the oven? I mean, seriously, if you left something in the oven and you didn't mean to, maybe go fix that. But I want to invite you to take your brain and focus it on visualizing the breath inside of your body. So I want you to make your breath a visual and audio and felt experience. Just dive into the breath. This is how we slow down our mind and start to gradually switch from our sympathetic go, go, go nervous system down to our rejuvenating, restorative, parasympathetic nervous system. So you've got to get your brain into your body and not up in itself, okay? Ooh. I feel a yawn. If you feel a yawn, that's a good sign. That means you're releasing the higher vibe energy. You're getting down into lower baseline energy. I want to invite you into some loose living movement, which just means just feel what needs to be stretched. I'm not taking you into any postures at all right now. Just I invite you, as you continue to get into the breath, feel into your body, even if you keep your eyes closed. What feels tight? Maybe you want to lay instead of sit. Maybe you want to get on your side. Whatever feels good to you. Be intuitive. I invite you to just listen and feel, tune in and connect with your body. And we're going to stay here for a couple more minutes and then we'll go into some yoga, but so gentle and easy. It's just going to be about connecting with your body.
Okay, isn't that incredible? And don't you want to just keep going on that? Oh, it's so good. But I have to stop because I can't just have that on the podcast right now. I've got some other incredible guests to go through as well. But if you want to do her last yoga meditation, we have that from our summer's event and the replays from that. If you decide to join us for the winter one, you'll be able to access the replays during that month. When you join Winter Educate and Rejuvenate, the offer we have right now, because we're not selling tickets, it's just $9 for your first month of the club. So you'll get full access and you can go to the summer one and you could finish that clip if you want. You could finish doing that yoga meditation. We also had her on the podcast. We didn't talk specifically about yoga meditation. We talked more about coaching on that episode and self-care and how to take care of yourself. That's what we talked about on that episode. She was on episode 45 if you want to hear more from Lizzie for free on the podcast. And she also has her own podcast, the Postpartum Coach Podcast. And she has one coming out called the Restoring the Feminine podcast, which I highly recommend checking out if you feel the call to that at all. If you feel like, oh, I just want to feel more feminine. And if you don't know what that means, she'll explain it more on the podcast. But if you just feel kind of like stuck in the masculine, like the hustle and grind and all that, but want to get more into the feminine and owning your own power as a woman, if that calls to you. After the yoga meditation with Lizzie, we are going to have a comedy keynote with Kayla Jules. And we just had her on the show a couple weeks ago. So I'm just pulling a clip from that. I'm going to reshare my favorite clip from that interview where you just get to know a little bit more about her. And so I'm going to share that now. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your teaching background, and then what you do at Miss Education on like Instagram and TikTok as well?
Yeah. So I am in my 4th year of teaching currently in Texas. And growing up, I always knew that I was going to be a teacher. It was either that or a lawyer. And right now I'm actually getting my master's in education policy. So I get a little bit of both.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And yeah, Miss Education is just some account that I made on Instagram, actually, because one of my teammates has a teacher gram too, and she was making a lot of content. She was like, you've been on my channel a lot. You might as well make your own. And I was like, you're so right. And she was like, do it. People are going to want to hear your story. And so through her guidance and kind of inspiration, I started Miss Education, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and yeah, I just like making funny, relatable teacher content.
I love it. And I've loved watching some of your reels that you've done. And I've definitely watched on Instagram a lot more than TikTok, I think. But you do both, right?
Yes. And most of the stuff that I post on Instagram is very similar to what I post on TikTok too.
Awesome. So how do you get your ideas for some of the reels and the content that you do create on that account?
Yeah. A lot of my ideas honestly come from TikTok. There's always popular sounds that are generating like every single day. And so once I find a sound that I think I can tie back or relate to teaching, I use that, and I kind of come up with a caption based off of experience that I get from my students because they are hilarious. And yeah, I just post them, and in the comments I see how people relate, and yeah.
That's awesome. Now, do your students know, this is going off script a little bit, but do they know about your account and like what you do on there?
Yes. Oh my gosh. They're like, I saw you on TikTok. I saw you on Instagram. I'm like, you're not even supposed to be on TikTok. But they find me, and they will always comment on my stuff. And honestly, they're like the biggest supporters. So I love them.
So sweet. I love that. I feel like our kids, they just like that relationship that we build with them during the school year, like, and how you just get so close that you can like, tease each other. You can be like, oh, I saw you on TikTok or whatever,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Show them that and then they'll say like, oh yeah, my teacher, she's super cool,
They're like, I liked every single one of your videos. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you. So sweet. So what are some of your favorite ones that you've created?
Honestly, my favorite ones are, there's this one that I just posted, actually. It's about how it's like that time of year, and it's just a bunch of coughing, and all of your students are coughing. And it's really funny because I actually got that inspiration from a student who will come and sit at my small group table and just cough all over the table. I'm like,
goodness.
Girl.
Oh my goodness.
And so I heard that sound on TikTok, and I was like, this is exactly something that's happening in my classroom. And so I just put that caption on it, and a lot of people can relate.
Isn't Kayla so fun? I just can't wait to hear more from her at the comedy keynote at Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. And if you didn't want that clip to stop, if you're like, wait, I want to hear more from Kayla, you can just go back a few episodes to episode 114 on Wife, Teacher, Mommy, the podcast, our interview, which is what that was pulled from. If you want to hear the whole thing, that episode was called episode 114, Self-Care, Laughter, and Community by Kayla Jules. We even got talking about our favorite book recommendations and things like that. So I'm really excited for her keynote, though. It's going to be a lot of fun. The next person who you'll hear from at the event is actually me. I will be presenting a very special presentation. And as I'm recording now, I'm still putting together the content. I actually plan on having posting in our Facebook pages and Instagrams and groups to have people vote on which title and which direction I should go with it. So I'm really excited about it. But I did do a coaching session with our Wife Teacher Mommy Club members just last week that I feel was one of my favorites I've done probably ever. We got really introspective. We were talking about really the winter solstice and how a lot of us get the winter blues and we see this like darkness as a negative thing, and of course the winter blues, like, we have these feelings we don't like that come up and things like that. But we also talked about how we can look at winter as a time for rebirth and renewal, and how we can see that from the darkness is where we rise up, kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes, or how we can find a way to let go of what's not working for us in our life to make room for what does. So we got really clear on like our values and what things we love and what we're doing well and bringing those things into our life, what we're not doing well, where we might be doing too much people pleasing. We talked about that. We got really introspective and people were sharing and engaging in the chat. And it was just wonderful. So I think I kind of want to do something along those lines, but I don't want it to be a repeat of what we just did, but kind of taking it to the next level. And I know we'll have a bigger group at the Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. We had a great group on the coaching session as well. More of our members show up when it's a big event, right? Live, because, it's just a lot going on. Not everyone can attend every week, and that's totally fine. But I want to have a similar experience because I feel like that was really good. So I feel like we're going to do something really introspective because we're going into a new year. But trust me, I will have more information. I'm going to be bringing it. Really excited about that. Then the next keynote we will hear from. So we have kind of 3 keynotes. There's Kayla doing a keynote, I'm doing a keynote, and then our final keynote is from Brittany Blackwell. And can I just tell you how much I love Brittany? And you probably know this because she's been on the podcast a few times. We've been collaborating together and we've done each other's events and everything. And you're actually going to be hearing an episode from her podcast for our episode next week. But she will be doing a brand new presentation all about artificial intelligence. It's the first time she's teaching this, and she's learned a lot since she even started like really diving into that and making a course and everything all about artificial intelligence. And she even talked about it at our Summer Educate and Rejuvenate event. But again, new information, new ways and tools, things you can do to simplify your life with artificial intelligence from Brittany Blackwell. I'm going to share a little clip from a podcast that we did together so you can get kind of a feel for Brittany and her teaching style. Now, on this episode, we talked about the stress cycle, which is a different topic than what she'll be talking about at the event. But I just wanted to get you to get a feel for Brittany, get to know her. Like she tells her introduction about herself here. And then just kind of see the types of things that we like to talk about in general. Wife, teacher, mommy. This is definitely a very wife, teacher, mommy topic. Brittany and I definitely have some overlap in the work that we do, and that's why we love to collaborate. So without further ado, let's listen to that clip from Brittany.
My name is Brittany Blackwell. I am still in the classroom as a special educator. I've been in education for 11 years, and I'm a previous special education coordinator, which I loved, but I returned back into the classroom after my first daughter was born because I wanted to spend more time with her and actually have some work-life balance. That's funny, huh? But my husband and I remarried. We have 5 kids together, so that we have a large family, and I'm all about simplification, reducing overwhelm. If I wasn't about those things, I would go crazy because we have so many kids. But I dealt with some really heavy burnout, personally, professionally. So I did some extensive research about self-care, personal and professional growth. I stress management, brain science. I'm a huge nerd. And when we entered, pandemic teaching, I started sharing tips, tricks, those sorts of things on TikTok, things that were helping me with like technology, things like that. And what I noticed was there were some really amazing teachers, like a total passion and love for teaching that were leaving the classroom. And they were citing burnout as their biggest thing. And I'd been there. Like I'd done that. I bought the t-shirt and learned all the things. And so at the time I was like, you know what? I've researched this. I need to share what I've learned over time and really synthesize it into a way that I can share that information with teachers. So I shifted my focus to teaching educators everything that I know about stress, burnout, simplification, boundaries, all that fun stuff that really isn't discussed in teacher prep programs. And I started my agency, Teaching Mind, Body, and Soul. And I began my podcast, the Resilient Teacher Podcast, in the summer of 2022. And that was just really help reach and teach more educators. So now what I do is I am a teacher resilience and retention strategist. So I help encourage and inspire overwhelmed teachers, leaders, schools, and districts to really prioritize mental health, individualized resilience, and burnout recovery so we can reduce that stress, prevent that burnout, create that life we've been dreaming about, and really make a change in our broken system of education.
I love that. I love this work you're doing. I think it's so important that teachers are able to find ways to get through that stress and that burnout with all these tools that you've learned in your years of looking into that and everything. And I love what you've done with Teaching Mind, Body, and Soul and your Resilient Teacher Podcast. For some reason, I mixed up those names at the beginning. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine.
But yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this topic. So, because like when you sent me a list of topics, so you sent me a few, they were all great topics. But when I saw the stress cycle, that really stood out to me, actually, because I loved the book Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. Is that how you say her last name?
Yes. Yeah, Nagoski.
I loved her book and her TED Talk. And I mean, and the book, I mean, it's not related to teaching. It's all about sex, but it's a really good book because like I was listening to it and a lot of the concepts were, I was like, oh, this doesn't just apply to the bedroom. This applies to everything. So
Yeah.
I loved that book. And I know they wrote another one that's more just about burnout that I haven't read yet and is on my to be read list. So when I saw that topic, I was like, oh, I want to talk about that today. So, like it's been a little bit since I read it though, and I'd love a refresher. And I bet a lot of our listeners are like, what's the stress cycle? So could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So actually, I haven't read Come As You Are, but that is on my to read list. And I actually learned a lot about the stress cycle from the Nagoski sisters book, Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. So it's an amazing book, really led me into doing other research, kind of synthesizing about stress and burnout. So when we say the stress cycle, I kind of have to give a little background about stress and how it works so you can kind of understand the cycle. So psychologically, what happens in our brains during high stress is we set off our brain's fight or flight response. It's that heart beating faster, our blood pumping harder, our blood pressure increasing, and you breathe more quickly. Okay. So that's when your muscles are tense and your attention is alert and the hormones and the neurological things that are happening actually change your entire body and your mind in response to perceived threat. So that's where that flight part comes in. And so our brains create these reactions within our body that tell us to run. It's like an evolutionary thing. So like take, for example, back in the day, you go out into the wilderness, you're walking along, there's a bear, and your body's natural response is to just run, right? Until you're safe. So once that bear's gone, your body knows that it's safe and the cycle is ended. What actually happens in our bodies when we're in this constant state of stress, even when our brains activate that stress response, it doesn't change the situation. So for us as like teachers, we may be confronted by a stressful class, right? They're rowdy, they don't listen, the behavior's out of control, and our brains say, run. So in our way, like we run, right? We get home that day, we switch on Netflix and we disassociate to try to like forget that difficult class. And our brain's like, we escaped the bear. Okay, we're good. And the next day, that out of hand class is still there. So our brains tell us, run.
It just keeps going.
And the cycle begins again. Yes.
The cycle.
Exactly. Over and over and over for like a semester or more, So as educators, we have these layers of stress put on us one at like at one time. We've got evaluations, we've got state testing, that rowdy class, that parental communication. So there's more to the stress cycle than just one piece of the puzzle. And when we get stuck in this stress response because, we're stuck in stress activating situations, it's not always a bad thing, but when the stress piles up so much that it outweighs our capacity to really process it, we're at risk for becoming burned out.
I love Brittany. And if you want to listen to the full interview from Brittany, like if you're like, oh, I love what she's saying, I want to hear more about it, just go to episode 54 of Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. You'll get to hear the full interview that Brittany and I did. I think it was at the beginning of this year. And you'll get to hear that whole thing. And then we also had her recently on episode 95, where we did our first co-hosted episode all about self-care. And like I said, next week we'll be airing one of her episodes on the podcast. So Brittany is amazing. You'll get lots from her here, but then you're going to get even more brand new content when you join us at Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. Going to be so much fun. Okay, at that point, we are going to break for lunch. You're going to have done the yoga meditation, the 3 keynotes, like the main presentations, and it's time to take a little break from lunch. We have just like a half-hour break for you to quickly grab something. Then you can come bring it back to your computer if you'd like. For the next half hour, we are going to have our first ever celebration ceremony. And when I had this idea, I brought it to my team and we were all just so psyched about it because it kind of came to me in a spark of inspiration when I was at the Life Coach School Mastermind because they give life coaches awards for hitting certain goals as a life coach. And now I was like, well, what about our teachers in Wife Teacher Mommy Club? What about when they do amazing things? Like they actually take the time for self-care. They spend a full year or 6 months and get coached and they show up and they see the differences it makes in their lives. I want to celebrate them. And nobody tends to give people an award for self-care. So we decided, why not start? Why can't we do it here at Wife Teacher Mommy? So we're going to have our first ever celebration ceremony where we invite our members we've already sent an email. If you're a member and you're listening, we are like, wait, I want this. We sent an email with information. So what you need to do, and what our members will get to do is fill out a form. All they do is they just put what they learned from coaching, submit a 2-minute-ish video. Again, it could be 1 minute, 3 minutes, whatever, just a short video about how coaching has helped you, because this is what will play during that celebration ceremony. It's kind of like the virtual version of you getting up on stage and getting your award and sharing your thank yous or whatever. So we will share those videos that each person submits. We'll present them with their award. And we are actually going to mail these out. My husband, he has a laser engraver. He's actually started his own business with that on Etsy. And he's done a lot of engraving for our members, like the tumblers that we've sent out at certain periods of time. Right now we're out of tumblers, but we'll probably do them again sometime. But anyways, he did the engraving on those. He's made pencil holders for our members. So right now what he's working on is making these actual awards that we're going to mail out, like a little trophy that you'll get when you get this award. And so we're really excited to do our very first one. And then it will inspire new people. If you see oh, I could get that award, you can, because we plan on doing it again in the summer and then again next winter. So if you want to get an award for coming into the club and taking care of yourself, and you could put that award up on your vision board. I want to, because we're going to do a vision board challenge next month. Super excited for that. Sneak peek behind the scenes. You could get that award too. So we'll get to celebrate those who have earned their award, and then you'll learn how you could possibly get that at the next one. So it'll be super exciting. Then after the celebration ceremony, we are going to have a 2-hour coaching panel with all of our Wife Teacher Mommy coaches. So we will invite attendees to pre-submit questions that we'll have kind of ready and assigned to coaches. So we would love for you to pre-submit your questions, but also we'll take questions from the chat. There might be opportunities for coaching for people to come on. It's really honestly going to be whatever is needed by the people who are there. If you know me and you've been listening to the podcast, I'm going to be there, right? You know me. But also Chrissy Nichols will be there, who has been on the podcast a few times, Bonnie Wiscombe. I'm going to share all the coaches here after I explain this, because we have an amazing panel of coaches who are going to be participating in this. And I want to introduce them to you in case you don't know them. So we're going to start with Chrissy Nichols, who is our original coach inside Wife Teacher Mommy Club. She was coaching even before I did, when I was I want to bring coaching to the club. But I wasn't certified yet. So I didn't feel like I could coach, even though honestly, I have been really diving into the work for a long time. And it wasn't much longer after that I got certified as well. But I wanted to bring somebody in who was amazing. And I'm so glad that I did, because me and Chrissy, we now just have this wonderful working relationship. She's amazing. I'm going to share a clip from episode 76 of the podcast where Chrissy and I were just like chatting and sharing about what it is that we do inside the coaching. I'm going to share that clip with you right now.
I'm Chrissy Nichols, and I am not only a teacher, but a life coach for teachers. The three main pillars or reasons or inspiration growth spaces that teachers come to me for are weight loss. So that's body balance, loving the body you have, or maybe losing weight if that is interesting to you. And you just want some more assistance with that. Time power. So how to gain your weekends back and stop grading, how to have more time and life school balance so that you don't always feel like if I'm a great teacher, I'm a bad spouse. And if I'm a great spouse, I'm a bad mom or a bad teacher. All of those things that go on for us. And really, really, I love coaching on relationships. And that is first relationship with self, relationship with colleagues. They could be great. They could be toxic. We look at all of that mind trauma. Relationship with admin, busting through all of that, us versus them. And relationships with your students, with your parents, the list goes on and on. Teachers have so many relationships that are important in their days. So that's what I do. That's what I do every day. I still teach. I work a lot with students one-on-one, but when I'm not doing that, I am coaching my clients and looking inside their brain and creating change and seeing that progress and change over and over again. It's possible. But I think coaching is one of the number one ways, as you know, since you are also a coach, to really bust through some of those limiting beliefs when we think that we can never do something or this is just the way it is. We can always add that word, I'm thinking about Carol Dweck and her growth mindset, but you add that word of yet. So really harnessing the power of our brains, of our dopamine to stop procrastinating and to get whatever we want. Ask a coach, you can just type in your question and I give you a response. And then when we hop on the Zooms Kelsey does sometimes we have guest coaches, and I also get to come on frequently with different topics. Sometimes it's just open coaching, and teachers just come with the minds that they have. And what I love about those moments are the ways, Kelsey, you tell me what you think, but all the ways that teachers bring their daily lives, right? They come to coaching with real stuff, with real problems, like my sixth graders are just so mean. Or I get home and I have no more bandwidth for my family because I've been at school and I've been giving. Or I just can't stay out of the refrigerator from 4 to 6. And you had a great podcast episode with the great Corinne Crabtree about that, about how our cortisol levels at school get amped up and our anxiety and just the pace of our days as teachers in school. So much is coming at us that we go home and it's normal that we want some relief. We turn to the refrigerator, we turn to whatever buffer it is that makes us feel a little bit better. And I love when teachers come into the Zoom calls, into our coaching calls. And I find that even in a group setting, everybody learns from everybody else. In fact, in the chat, we often have teachers say, wow, that coaching, I was watching someone else, but she had my life. She was speaking to me. And I think that's what's amazing. One thing I just wanted to add about last year's event and then the year-long progression I've seen, I watched teachers hop in to Educate and Rejuvenate. Maybe they had been kind of like looking at the club or, kind of observing it. Maybe they weren't yet members of the club or club members, but Educate and Rejuvenate, I know because I speak to them in our coaching calls on the regular, they said was a game changer because they walked away with real tools and real strategies that they could implement then. Not like, oh, I have to wait. No, they walked away with real tools to start changing their minds then, that they could apply to their mother, to their sister, to their spouse, to any relationship around. They'd already practiced from what they learned in Educate and Rejuvenate. And now I just see them busting through so many obstacles from that moment just by coming to the group coaching that we offer during the year. Like, I'll just give you a couple of real world examples. I had a teacher come on she's a club member and she loves the coaching. She's completely changed her relationship with food. Really, it's not even about dropping the weight. It's just really about not thinking about food all the time. And what is she going to eat when she goes through the faculty room? And what is she not going to eat when she sees cupcakes in there? And how is she going to not go through the drive through or go through the drive through on the way home and have her own back about it? We have another club member who also joined at Educate and Rejuvenate last year. She has completely decided to create a side business for herself that she loves, that she's excited about, that's going to create abundance and, of course, money for her family. And these are all things that I just think if teachers never came, if they never learned about looking inside their mind, if they never learned about thought work and that thoughts create a feeling in our bodies that drive an action and create a result for our lives, what we do, what we don't do, like these teachers would never have created these differences in their life or completely changed their relationship with their administrator or completely got neutral, maybe not like love and light, like unicorns with a toxic colleague, but they don't even see them as toxic anymore. They just see them as a colleague. So these kinds of shifts are possible and they do happen over the summer. So I just want to tell anyone who's even curious about it, it's like the best professional development you'll ever do.
Okay, isn't that episode so fun? And Kate, me and Chrissy and I, we just have such great banter. We love talking together. If you want to hear the whole episode that we did together, go back to episode 76 for the full thing. And she's been featured on several other episodes too. So as you're scrolling through the podcast, you could definitely see more from her. She also has her own podcast called the Teacher Talk with Chrissy Nichols podcast, which is amazing. You should definitely check that out. Okay, our next coach I'm so excited to announce is Francini Estes, and she was a presenter at our Summer Educate and Rejuvenate event. She was incredible. She talked all about have a more balanced and productive life as a wife, mom, and teacher. So I'm going to be sharing a clip from that with you in just a second, but I'm really excited to bring her in. She's going to be so in her professional practice, she tends to help moms with children with ADHD or otherwise just like, children who have special needs or whatever. She tends to be really good at helping people with that. So I thought, why not bring her into the club to teach more about that over the next few months, January, February, and March. So we're going to bring her in to kind of do a segment for a few months and teach about that. And so she is going to be on our panel for Winter Educate and Rejuvenate. So we're really excited to have her. And now I'm going to share a clip from her past session.
I was thinking the other day, I went roller skating with my children, and man, it wasn't a pretty sight. And made me thinking of this analogy. Being a mom, a wife, and a teacher sometimes feels like juggling multiple tasks while wearing roller skates. It can be challenging juggle various responsibilities. That's why I want to offer tips and tricks to help you simplify your life and have a fulfilling life. My tips range from quick and easy solutions to more in-depth strategies that will help you have a long-lasting impact in your life. So whether you're looking to organize your home, your classroom, manage your schedule with more efficiency, or find time for yourself, I've got you covered. Go from chaos and overwhelm to easiness and calm. As a busy mom, you deserve to care for yourself and your family without feeling overwhelmed all the time. My tips will do just that. So the 4 ways we will discuss today is 1, redefine balance. 2, establish values and priorities. 3, time and attention assessment. And 4, effective scheduling. Number 1, redefine balance. The first step to finding balance and productivity in your life is to shift your perspective and redefine what balance really means to you. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that balance is about evenly distributing our time and energy across all areas of our life. Sometimes when you think about balance, we think of a scale, right? And weight the same weight on both sides of the scale. We think about equilibrium, and this elusive equilibrium, right? Where work, family, personal pursuit, self-care all receive equal attention and effort. But however, this idealized notion of balance often sets us up for disappointment and feeling of inadequacy, because let's be real, that's impossible. So the truth is, balance is not one size fits all, right? Balance is dynamic and fluid and evolves when we change priorities and values, because we don't have the same values and priorities at all times in our lives. As our life changes, the phase of our life changes from having a newborn and having a toddler, a teenager, an adult child, our priorities and values also changes. So it is all about aligning our actions with what truly matters to us, right? At that given moment. So to redefine balance, what do you need to do? Start reflecting on your values and priorities. We will be talking a lot about this soon. What is most important to you in this season of your life? What brings you joy and fulfillment? Sometimes we completely ignore what brings us joy and fulfillment. This can be different for everyone. And that's perfectly okay, because we're not the same people, right? So your version of balance may involve putting more emphasis on your family during certain times, and then sometimes on your career, or sometimes on your needs, on your health. So I like to think about this as when I taught my children how to ride a bike. I remember they kept looking down and to look at their pedals and at their feet, trying to keep them balanced, right? But the more they would do that, the more unbalanced they would feel. So when they kept their eyes at the horizon, that's when their body adjusted and kept them upright. So similarly, if we focus too much on the details and tasks of our lives, we may lose sight of the bigger picture, right? And we'll start feeling overwhelmed. So instead, let's redefine balance by focusing on our mindset and values.
Isn't Francini amazing? I'm so excited to have her. And I forgot to mention how I met Francini. So Francini and I met because we actually both attended a coaching conference with Jody Moore. It was like 2 years ago in Salt Lake City. Now, Francini's from Texas. I'm from Salt Lake. So it was like a no-brainer for me to attend this coaching event, but she'd flown out. And we just happened to sit by each other at this event. And she was a certified coach. And I was like, hey, you know what? I have a membership with coaching. It would be so fun to bring you in at some point when I'm ready to bring in more coaches. And she was like, oh, I would love that. And that was like 2 years ago. And now I'm finally ready to bring in some more coaches. And she was still interested. So I'm really, really excited to have her come on and have you learn from her. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, next, I want to introduce you to Bonnie Wiscombe, who has been coaching in Wife Teacher Mommy Club for a few months now. She is a homeschool mom of 10. Isn't that incredible? I actually just got my Christmas card from her family, and they are just so cute, and she is amazing. She has been coaching in the club for a few months, like I mentioned. She also has her own coaching practice where she helps moms who want to build a business. But she's been doing great in the club with all our teachers, all our homeschool moms, helping with whatever they need. She's been also answering Ask a Coach questions in the club as well. So I'm going to share a clip from episode 76 of the podcast. That podcast was called Self-Development for Homeschool Moms. But again, what she shares is applicable to you, even if you're a school teacher as well. So let's listen to that clip.
Yeah, I will absolutely say that there are, especially those who work outside of the home and then have their own kids at home, your time is short. That is absolutely true. However, I would encourage you to look at your own self-development and care as something that is non-negotiable. So would it be possible for you to outsource grocery shopping or just do grocery pickup so that you could have a few minutes to read a book that's really important to you or to go on that walk that you really need? So this is something that I've had to look at the last few years, especially as my life has gotten busier and I've had more kids and then building these businesses, is what can give? What can I let go of in order to still maintain the mental acuity that I need and the emotional stability that I need? So I'm actually, I call it selfishness, but it's not a bad selfishness. I'm really protective of my time when I am developing myself, whether it's the run I need to go take or like I said, the book I need to read or something I need to study up on to make myself a better mom and teacher.
Yes, and I totally agree with like you saying too about you said like selfish or whatever. And I don't know if you heard this episode that Brooke Castillo did a while back and on the Life Coach School podcast. I mentioned it on a recent episode. I don't even remember which one. I think it was one about self-care actually. But she talked about how selfish, she like pulled up the Google definition and it was like putting yourself above other people. And she was like, I think that's actually the only way to show up in the world. And it's not like, putting yourself at the expense of other people. But it's like making sure that you're taken care of, because again, it's that you can't pour from an empty cup. It's like when you're on an airplane, what do they tell you to do? You put that mask on yourself. And, as moms are like, why would I do that? I want to save my child. But then, how are you going to get it on all your children if you don't have it on yourself? You're only going to make it through. Like,
I was literally just talking about this on Instagram because I remember taking a baby on a plane once, and that was my first thought when they said that. Was like, I thought, no, I would put it on my baby first. That's what moms do. That's what teachers do. We sacrifice ourselves at the expense of these kids that need us and they need our energy. But just be aware that that only takes you so far. And if you don't put yourself first, you're going to fizzle out real quick. And you've probably already experienced that if you are like most of us.
For sure. So we're talking all about this like self-development, like, okay, you need to make time for it. You need to make time for self-development, what can give or whatever, but what does self-development actually mean to you? So if you're like, okay, we need to make time for self-development, what is that?
Yeah, for moms, I usually encourage them to look at what they would like to develop in their kids or help their kids develop. Do you want them to be musical? Do you want them to be educated? Do you want them to be strong physically? Those are the same things that you want to develop in yourself, right? You would never expect your kid to only do one thing day in and day out, only ever do school, never do extracurriculars, never get outside and run around. No. The same thing goes for you. Are you spending all day with your kids? Are you spending all day cleaning the house? No, you need to have a variety of activities and opportunities to develop the talents and skills that you have. And so many of us, especially stay-at-home moms, I think for many years think, well, gosh, I've been out of the workforce for years, or I don't have a degree, or I don't have a lot of skills or whatever. But we all have talents and we all have things that we can develop and become better versions of ourselves. And I think that we owe that to our families and to those who are reliant on us to become the best versions of ourselves.
Okay, I love what Bonnie had to say about us, like not just forgetting those things that we love to do as well and developing ourselves, because I do feel like we sometimes get so into like wife, teacher, mommy, all the other roles that we have in our lives that we forget ourselves. So that episode is really great about developing ourselves, whether that is doing some hobbies you love, doing a side hustle, whatever it is that makes you feel like there's something for you as well. So much fun. Okay, and the last coach I'm so excited to introduce you to is my good friend Cammie, who I went through. And I forgot to mention Bonnie, I met through coaching certification. And Cammie, I also met through coaching certification. We actually have our own little chat that we call ourselves LCS besties that we just, because we met through doing our coach training together. Now, Cammie is really focused on fitness and wellness. She has actually been helping me as well, just as friends, but I can just tell that she is an amazing fitness and wellness coach. And so she is going to be teaching about that in the club January through March as well. We're going to bring in some health and wellness into the club to kind of make it even more well-rounded. So she's going to be teaching about that, and she'll be part of our panel. So any questions that come about health or fitness will come to Cammie. Now, I want to share a clip from her session from Educate and Rejuvenate so you can kind of get to know her. And what I love about Cammie is her just no fuss personality. Like if you need someone to kind of kick you into gear, Cammie is that person. So let's hear her.
I want to talk to you today about your exercise and wellness. Don't roll your eyes. Hey, I can see you back there. Don't be shutting off your screen. I see you. Raise your hand if you already know the importance of exercise. That's what I thought. Almost all of your hands are up. Now, raise your hand if you commit to a regular workout program because you know all the benefits of exercise. Looking. 3 people? Okay. Oh, wait. That beautiful brunette back there was apparently just scratching her back. So, 2 people? Nice. Okay. Well, we say we know exercise is important, yet it's always the first on our list to go by the wayside. Always. Curious though, what if I told you that I would give you $5 million? Would you like this? Yeah? I mean, I would take $5 million. Now, what if I told you that you only get $5 million in exchange for your health? That you would not live to see another month on Earth. I know, it sounds dramatic, but there's a reason. What if I said that you'd have aggressive cancer and wouldn't see day 32? Would you agree to this deal? I'm guessing the vast majority of you would say, no way. Health really is priceless. It's the most important thing. But yet, we pretend health isn't invaluable. We pretend we don't need to exercise. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do we do this? We already know the endless benefits, right? So why do we walk around with our cup half empty? We know we can't pour from an empty cup, but some of us are so empty and been dry for years. But we keep tipping our cup, thinking liquid would magically pour out. And then we have the audacity to get frustrated and we pretend to be confused. A couple of my favorite quotes are, wow, I really regret that workout. Said no one ever. No one in the history would say such a thing. And exercise is the most underutilized antidepressant. Amazing. It really is a happy pill. No copay. No side effects. In many ways, free. Another one I like is a 30-minute workout is only 2% of your day. 2! That's it! Are we really not worth 2% of our day? Or are we so unorganized that we can't schedule and prioritize ourselves for 30 minutes a few times a week? Now listen, I don't ask these questions to shame or guilt anyone. We are all guilty of this. I know I am. As a mom of 4 young kids, ages 1, 3, 6, and 7, I have struggled with this. Big time. So I wanted to share some ideas that have helped me. Maybe they can help you too. First, I want you to take out a sheet of paper. Got it? Okay. And on this sheet of paper, I want you to write down all the reasons why you can't work out. Just list every single one of them. Don't hold back. In fact, pause this clip until you do. Take as much time as you need. All done? Okay. I have a feeling you can guess step number 2. Yep, you guessed it. Next to your reason why you can't work out, we are going to come up with a solution. We are going to ask our brains how. So instead of saying, I can't work out today, we're going to ask, how can I work out today?
I just love Cami. I love her no nonsense, and she's just amazing. And that's what I love about having these different coaches. Everybody has a different vibe, and you can learn something from each of them. You can also be like, okay, I really resonate with, like, say, for example, Kelsey and Chrissy, or Kelsey and Bonnie, or maybe Bonnie and Cami, maybe not even me. You get like a variety of coaches who you get to learn and hear from. So much fun. The panel will include me, Chrissy, Bonnie, Grant CD, and Cami. You'll be able to ask your questions, get coached, engage in the community in the chat. And then the next day, actually, it's not officially part of the event, but I will be doing a 2-hour coach-a-thon where I'll be taking people to come on and get coached. It'll start at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and I set the day aside for however long, whether it's like 30 minutes of people wanting to get coached, whether it's 3 hours of people wanting to get coached. Whoever wants to come on will get coached in the order they raise their hand. It's going to be fun and going to be a really good time. Okay, but that's the next day. Just figured, again, behind the scenes, right? I said I would mention little things as we go. Okay, so we're going to close off the day with some really exciting announcements, and we'll be locking all current members into some amazing perks that new members who join after December 28th will not get right away. They'll have to wait before they get them. So by joining us now for just $9, it is the time to try out the club. If you've been on the fence and you've been like, I might do that at some point, like when I'm ready, when it's time, when I have the money. Here's the thing. Right now, I bet you can find $9 somehow. You could skip like one Starbucks run for you and a partner or whatever, and it would be covered. You could just skip going to Target one time and be well more than covered for like a few months. Like, I mean, I swear you can walk out of Target or Costco, even worse. And again, it would be covered for a while. But this is the time where you will get to see if this is for you. The event is going to give you a real taste of the club. It's going to show if you really vibe with this event, you're going to love it ongoing. But the worst case, you'll come to the event, you'll see that maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, and you can cancel. We make it really easy to cancel right in your account if you need to. You don't have to like face anybody or anything. You just get to go in and do it. So I really recommend trying it. Now is the time to try it out. We've got some really exciting announcements. $9 for a full month of access to the club. Go to educateandrejuvenate.com or the link in the show notes to snag your access right now. Now, this is for new members. If you're already a member, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do that $9 because you're already in. You don't need to buy anything else. We don't want you creating another subscription and getting charged again. So just want to make sure that's clear. If you're already a member and you're wondering how to join us in the event, you can register for text reminders in your club dashboard. We sent lots of emails with information, more to come. And we're also so happy if you need help or support to help you if you email us or post in the Wife Teacher Mommy Club Facebook group. And last but not least, if you're listening to this and December 28, 2023 is long gone, chances are you could be listening to this later. There's only like 2 weeks before the event by the time that this episode airs, or maybe even a little bit less. I can't remember off the top of my head. But no worries. You can join us in the club anytime, and you'll get to keep a full year of Educate and Rejuvenate replays. You'll be able to listen to the latest summer and winter event immediately, and then you'll get to attend live the ones that come up while you are in. So this is still relevant even if that time is over. So I hope to see you soon at Educate and Rejuvenate or a coaching call. Either way, though, we'll talk here on the podcast next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And to make your podcast experience even more personalized, I'd love to send you a custom podcast playlist of my top recommended episodes for you that I think will be the most helpful based on where you are in your journey. Simply go to wifeteachermommy.com/podcast quiz and answer a few simple questions. It'll take less than 2 minutes and you'll have your custom playlist sent your way. Plus, you'll get updates when we release new episodes and get an exclusive clip from a coaching call sent to you every single week. So you'll get even more free content to help you live your best life. You've got nothing to lose, so what are you waiting for? Go to wifeteachermommy.com/podcast quiz now.